Starting with basic radicals. Basic radicals, basically we are talking about cations present in the salt coming from a base, that is why they are called so. Now these are classified in various groups based upon how are they precipitated. What are the various groups in which the basic radicals are divided? They may be in group 0. The radical present in 0 group is ammonium. It may be the first group. It is lead Pb2 plus, maybe silver also, maybe mercurous ion Hg2 plus. But these two are not in syllabus, so we will focus only on lead here. Then they may be in the second group. It may be Pb2 plus in the second group. Again, it may be Cu2 plus, it may be Cd2 plus, it may be As3 plus, it may be mercuric ion also. So here we will basically focus on lead again. Cadmium is also there in our syllabus, but we will not discuss about it. Then next is third group. In the third group we have Fe3 plus, Al3 plus. Then the fourth group. In the fourth group we have radicals, that is cobalt, nickel, manganese, zinc. All these are the colored salts. So basically we will focus on Zn2 plus. Colored salts doesn't mean that they cannot be asked in exam. Can be asked in exam, but generally the white salt is preferred for giving for the practical exams. Now moving to the next, that is fifth group. Now what are the radicals present in fifth group? In fifth group we have barium, strontium, calcium. Then the sixth group. Now sixth group is, that is magnesium, sodium and potassium. Sodium and potassium are not in the syllabus, so we will basically focus only on magnesium. So that is how all the basic radicals or the cations are classified in various groups. I want to make it very clear here that this classification is not having anything to do with the periodic table classification. It is the classification done on the basis of that how these various radicals are precipitated out. Like if lead is precipitated in form of chloride, then it is in the first group, and if it is precipitated as its sulfide, then it is in the second group. So that's how it is. Now what about group 3? Group 3 is precipitated in form of hydroxides. So that we will come to know while doing the test for all these group radicals. So starting with what about ammonium? Why ammonium is kept separately here? Ammonium is kept separately because of the reason, because most of the ammonium salts are used as group reagent for various groups, like ammonium chloride, ammonium acetate, all these ammonium carbonate, all these are the salts which are generally used as ammonium sulfate also is one of the chemical use. So what I'm trying to tell, that most of the ammonium salts are used as the group reagent for various group testing. So that is why it is not considered, or it is kept as an independent radical, not considered in any of the group. It is considered in the 0 group. So we are starting with the 0 group first of all. As we all know, what is the group radical of it? Group 0. 0 group, the radical is ammonium. Ammonium is the radical. How do we test it? We will take the pinch of salt, and in this pinch of salt add concentrated sodium hydroxide and heat it. After heating, if we get ammonical smell is there, it means ammonium may be present. Ammonium may be present. Now if we say we took the salt here, we took the pinch of salt, now added sodium hydroxide concentrated to it, we get ammonical smell. Now we are bringing a rod dipped in, this is what? This is dipped in concentrated HCl. When we bring a rod dipped in concentrated HCl near to the mouth of the test tube, we will be getting white fumes intensified. So here ammonical smell, and to this if we are bringing rod dipped in HCl, near to the mouth, then what will be the result? We will be getting white fumes intensified. White fumes will be intensified. Why is it so? What is the chemistry behind this all? What is happening here? We are having ammonium salt, say it is ammonium chloride, say it is ammonium chloride, NH4Cl, ammonium chloride. In this ammonium chloride we added sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide is added here. What we will get? We are getting here NaCl plus ammonia gas plus water. So we are getting ammonia gas. So because of the evolution of ammonia gas, we are expecting the ammonical smell to be there. Now when this ammonia gas is coming in contact with, this is ammonia gas, when this ammonia gas is coming in contact with the HCl, then it will be resulting in the formation of ammonium chloride, and that is why white fumes intensified. This is a solid, here it is a solid, ammonium chloride solid. So because of this solid ammonium chloride, which has a property of subliming, so because of that white fumes intensified. So this is one of the indication, or you can say preliminary test for ammonium. Now what about the confirmatory test for ammonium? What is the confirmatory test of ammonium? Confirmatory test for ammonium is Nessler's test. Nessler's test is the confirmatory test. Now what is this Nessler's test? What do we do in this? That whatever the ammonical smell is there, or the fumes, like we took the pinch of salt, to this we added concentrated NaOH, we get fumes with ammonical smell. What are the, why these fumes are due to? This is because of the ammonia gas, ammonical smell, because of the ammonia gas present, right? Now this, if to this these are the fumes collected in a tube, or you can say if they are passed in a tube, they are passed in a tube, and here we are adding, or we are passing these fumes through Nessler's reagent. So what are we doing here? We have taken the Nessler's reagent in a test tube, Nessler's reagent, and in this test tube we are passing this ammonia gas. So what we will get, what is the result of it? We will get brown precipitate. So brown precipitate is obtained. So what is the chemistry behind it? What we did, ammonia gas is formed, those fumes of ammonia gas we collected, and we are passing those fumes through Nessler's reagent. So ammonia is passed through Nessler's reagent. What is the formula of Nessler's reagent? It is K2HgI4. This is Nessler's reagent. So Nessler's reagent, we are passing the fumes of ammonia through Nessler's reagent, and we are getting a compound here, that is HgNH2I. This is the compound aminomercuric iodide. Aminomercuric iodide is the compound obtained. Now this aminomercuric iodide will further be converted to another compound, which will be giving a brown precipitate. It will further be converted to another compound. So what is that compound? It is HgNH2 bonded through O, HgI, like this. But we need not to do this formula, you may ignore also. So this is giving us the brown precipitate. So brown precipitate is because of this iodide of Milan's base. This is the common name of this. So we are getting brown precipitate. So basically we are focusing here, when these ammonical fumes or ammonia gas fumes are passed through Nessler's reagent, we get brown precipitate because of the formation of this compound. So this is all about the test for ammonium, the group 0. Now we are starting with group 1 radical. So before we start with group 1, first of all we should know about original solution. Except then 0 group, rest all tests are performed with original solution. All tests are performed with original solution. Now what is this original solution? Original solution is a clear solution of salt. Now, what does it mean? Some of the salts are soluble in cold water, like salt plus cold water, we may get a clear solution, soluble. Then it will be our original solution. Say if this is insoluble, if it is not soluble, if it is insoluble, then what we may try for, that we will be taking salt and we will try to dissolve it in hot water. It may be the possibility we get the clear solution, it is soluble. So now this will be your OS. Sometimes it may happen that the salt is neither soluble in cold water nor in the hot water. Then we may try dissolving it in dilute HCl. So if we dissolve it in dilute HCl and we get a clear solution, it means that salt plus dilute HCl is the original solution. If it is not soluble even in dilute HCl, then we try dissolving in concentrated HCl. Then that becomes the original solution. But anyhow, in your syllabus you have only water soluble salt. So we will focus only on these two. So you should understand original solution is nothing different for you. It is just the aqueous solution, but the term is substituted. Why? Because it is not always the aqueous solution. It may be the salt and HCl also. So that is why we have to particularly or specifically use this term, that is original solution here. Right? So starting with group 1, in group 1 we have only one radical in our syllabus out of the above mentioned. What is that? That is lead. So starting with test for test for first group. Say for example, if we don't get any ammonical smell after adding sodium hydroxide to the salt, we don't get any ammonical smell, it means 0 group is absent, and in that case we need to proceed for first group. So how do we proceed for first group? We will take the original solution OS. To this OS add dilute HCl. If after adding dilute HCl you get white precipitate, if you get white precipitate after adding dilute HCl, it means what? Lead may be present, Pb2 plus may be present. Now, what are the confirmatory tests for it? Now, whatever the white precipitate we received here, dissolve these white precipitate in hot water. Try to dissolve these white precipitate in hot water. Dissolve white precipitate in hot water and divide this clear solution in two parts. So in first part add K2CrO4 potassium chromate solution. If we add potassium chromate solution to the first part and if we get yellow precipitate, it means lead confirmed, Pb2 plus confirmed. And in the second part, the second confirmatory test, that is potassium iodide test. This is potassium iodide test, Ki test, and it is K2CrO4 test, that is potassium chromate test. So two tests we are performing after dividing the precipitate in two portions. In the first part we added potassium chromate. After adding potassium chromate, if we get yellow precipitate, it means lead confirmed. And to the second part we will add potassium iodide solution, and if we get yellow precipitate here, it means lead confirmed. And if after adding dilute HCl to the original solution we don't get any white precipitate, it means group 1 absent and we need to proceed for group 2. But before we proceed for group 2, we should understand the chemistry behind these tests. So what is the chemistry behind these tests? Why are we getting this white precipitate here? What is this white precipitate due to? What is the reaction taking place here? We are taking a lead containing salt, that is Pb2 plus, and to this we are adding dilute HCl. So it will be forming PbCl2, and this is forming these white precipitates. right? So that is how we get the white precipitate. Now when we do this potassium chromate test, that is K2CrO4 test, so what are we doing here? We are taking the original solution, and to this original solution, not original solution, sorry, we are taking the white precipitate dissolved in water, and to that white precipitate dissolved in water, to that solution we are adding K2CrO4. So basically we are adding K2CrO4 into PbCl2 solution, clear solution you may say. How did we obtain the clear solution? After dissolving in hot water. Right, now to this lead chloride we added K2CrO4 aqueous, we are getting the yellow precipitate. Why these yellow precipitate are there? What is the compound obtained here? PbCrO4. So this is lead chromate formed plus KCl. So that is why we get the yellow precipitate. Now what is the chemistry behind this Ki test? There also we are taking the same, that is PbCl2 aqueous clear solution, and in that we added potassium iodide solution. What are we getting? We are getting lead iodide, that is PbI2 solid, and PbI2 solid we are getting PbI2 solid, that is yellow precipitate, and KCl. So that is how, or this is the chemistry behind the these two confirmatory tests. Now we are starting with tests for zero group, sorry, test for second group. Test for second group. Now say for example, if we took the original solution, we added dilute HCl to it, we did not get any white precipitate. It means group 1 is absent. It means we need to move to group 2. Right. So in group 2, what are the radicals present? We have Pb2 plus, we have Cu2 plus, we have mercuric, we have Cd2 plus, arsenic, etc. But we will, copper is a colored salt, mercury and arsenic are not in the syllabus. Here basically we will focus on the lead only, right? So how do we proceed for this? What is the group reagent for it? So we proceed, so here we will basically focus on lead and copper and cadmium. These are in the syllabus, but we will focus on lead, right? So how do we proceed for this? We take the original solution. To the original solution we add dilute HCl, and H2S gas is passed through it. So now let me tell you, this is what? This is our group 1 solution, in which we expected that white precipitate to be formed, but no white precipitate is there. So that is why in place of writing this entire story, we may just write this also, that to group 1 solution, to group 1 solution passed H2S gas. We may write like this also. So after passing H2S gas, if we get black precipitate, it means it may be what? It may be lead or copper, or we may get yellow precipitate also. So if we are getting yellow precipitate, then it may be Cd2 plus and As3 plus, cadmium and arsenic. But as we discussed that we are focusing here on lead, so I'm just starting with that. So what do we do with this black precipitate if by chance we get it? So black precipitate is to be dissolved in 50% HNO3. Dissolve these black precipitate plus 50% HNO3. How do we prepare this 50% HNO3? It is 1:1 ratio. 1:1 of what? Concentrated HNO3 plus water. Like if you are taking 5 ml of water, then add 5 ml of concentrated HNO3 to it. So that becomes your 50% HNO3. So now this 50%, we will try to dissolve these black precipitate in 50% HNO3. We will get a clear solution. If we get a clear solution here, with this solution we will proceed for the test for lead. What are the tests for lead? These are same. That is, what are these tests? That is lead, potassium iodide and potassium chromate test. So the same test will be repeated for lead, and if it is a copper present there, then we will be getting in place of this clear solution, we will be getting a blue colored clear solution. So that will indicate that it is copper, but that can easily be understood simply by observing the color of the salt also, because the copper salts are blue in color, right? So here we should understand what is the group reagent. What is the group reagent for group 1? Group reagent for group 1, what we did here, in presence of HCl we passed H2S gas. So what should we write here? What is the group reagent for group 2? The group reagent for group 2 is H2S gas in presence of dilute HCl. Not only H2S gas. H2S gas in presence of dilute HCl is the group reagent. What is the significance of passing H2S gas in presence of dilute HCl? Just to have the common ion effect. So because of the common ion effect, the solubility product of the sulfides obtained here will be low, and that is how the salt, or you can say lead sulfide, can be precipitated, or copper sulfide can be precipitated, or cadmium sulfide can be precipitated. So what is happening here? Here H2S is a weak electrolyte. Now when this H2S is passed in presence of HCl, so HCl will gets decomposed to give H ion and Cl minus ion, while H2S is a weak electrolyte, it will decompose to give hydrogen ion and sulfide ions, right? So now here because of this common ion, the solubility product of the sulfide formed here, that is lead sulfide, the black precipitate, or copper sulfide, the black precipitate, or you can say cadmium sulfide, the yellow precipitate. So all these will be having low solubility product, that is why they will be precipitated in group 2 like this. So this is all about the group 2. Now say for example, after passing H2S gas, if we don't get any black or yellow precipitate, it means group 2 absent. So it means we are supposed to move for group 3. So test for group 3 reagent. What are the reagent present here? It is Al3 plus and Fe3 plus. Both are present. Now Fe3 plus, because it is a colored salt. What is the color of ferric salt? It is reddish brown in color. Reddish brown. So because it is a colored salt, that is why we generally avoid giving it. So we will basically focus here on aluminium, which is a white salt. White salt. Now, in this case, how do we perform the test? First of all, there are two options. We can proceed with group 2 solution itself. One option, option 1. First option is that you are taking group 2 solution. What is group 2 solution? That is original solution, H2S and HCl. So group 2 solution. Now if we are proceeding with group 2 solution, then we have to go for the longer procedure. That is, we will add 2-3 drops of concentrated HNO3 to it, and then we will boil it. After boiling, boil and cool. Then you will be adding ammonium chloride solid. Then again boil and cool. Then add ammonium hydroxide to it, and you will be getting white precipitate. What white precipitate? It is gelatinous white. Gelatinous white precipitate, it means aluminium may be present. Right? But this is a longer procedure. Generally we opt for this procedure only in a case when we are left with very small quantity of salt. That is why, just to avoid any kind of wastage, we can proceed with group 2 solution. But by chance, if you don't want to do so, you may do a fresh also. So what is the second option for doing group 3 test? What we can do is, we can take original solution. To this original solution, add ammonium chloride solid. Then we will boil and cool, and then add ammonium hydroxide in excess. What does it mean, ammonium hydroxide in excess? How do we know that ammonium hydroxide is sufficient enough? Why do we require ammonium hydroxide in excess? The reason is because if ammonium hydroxide will be less, then it will not be precipitated in form of hydroxide, or group 3 will be undetected. Even if it is present, we will miss out, right? And how do we know that ammonium hydroxide in sufficient quantity? We will smell it. If we get the ammonical smell, it means ammonium hydroxide is sufficiently present. And if we don't get any smell, it means some more ammonium hydroxide is added to this, right? So here, after adding ammonium hydroxide, we may get reddish brown precipitate, or we may get gelatinous white precipitate, So if we get gelatinous white precipitate, it means aluminium may be present. Now, what is the chemistry behind it? What we did here, we are taking aluminium containing salt we have taken. We are taking an aluminium containing salt. So this aluminium containing salt, when added ammonium chloride and ammonium hydroxide to this aluminium containing salt, then it will be precipitated in form of its hydroxide, that is Al3 plus the salt, and we are adding ammonium hydroxide to it. It will be precipitated as aluminium hydroxide, that is gelatinous white precipitate. So this gelatinous white precipitate is because of the aluminium hydroxide formed. Similarly, what about this reddish brown precipitate? It is because of the ferric hydroxide formed. Now, what are the confirmatory tests for aluminium? Confirmatory test for aluminium, Al3 plus. What are the confirmatory tests? Only one test basically we perform, which is a very famous test because of its name, that is Lake test. So how do we perform this Lake test? How the test is performed, the confirmatory test for aluminium, how do we perform it? We take the white precipitate. These white precipitates are dissolved in HCl. White precipitate obtained above is dissolved in dilute HCl. Dissolve it in dilute HCl, and then to that solution obtained here, add 2 to 3 drops of blue litmus. 2 to 3 drops of blue litmus solution is added to it. Now add ammonium hydroxide solution, NH4OH solution. Till what? Till when? Till the blue color develops. We will keep on adding ammonium hydroxide to it till the blue color develops. So this is called as Lake test. So how do we do it, or what is the chemistry behind it? The chemistry behind this test is, like, how are we doing it? The Lake test is like, we can do it like this. That is, we have aluminium chloride and we are adding we have aluminium hydroxide, AlOH whole thrice, that is gelatinous white precipitate. We dissolve this gelatinous white precipitate in HCl. We get aluminium chloride, AlCl3 we got, right? Now this aluminium chloride, in this we are adding ammonium hydroxide till the blue color develops. So why the blue color will be there? That is because of AlOH whole thrice, again formed, plus ammonium chloride. So this is the chemistry behind Lake test. The precipitation of aluminium hydroxide is done in presence of blue litmus. So this is all about the Lake test, and this is all about group 3. If we don't get any white, gelatinous white or reddish brown precipitate, it means what? It means group 3 is absent, and then we are supposed to move for group 4. Group 4 we will be doing in the next slide. Thank you.